Premier Doug Ford had to face the anger of Ontario's First Nations today. First Nations chiefs from across the province met with the Premier face-to-face at Queen's Park after he was accused of racist rhetoric. Al Sweeney is following the story for us and joins me live in studio with the latest. Al.
Matt, the meeting follows yesterday's comments by the Premier at an event in St. Catharines. That was where he accused First Nations people of repeatedly going to the government hat in hand and of not being able to take care of themselves. Today's talks at Queen's Park ended with handshakes and an apology from Premier Doug Ford.
Grand Chief, I want to repeat it again. I sincerely apologize if I've offended anyone.
It followed a meeting that started with First Nations chiefs looking grim as they arrived to see the Premier. About 40 chiefs from the Anishinabek Nation were previously scheduled to meet with the Premier, but the meeting was overshadowed by Ford's statements yesterday.
The First Nations that by the way, I have treated like gold.
In saying his treatment of First Nations is golden, the Premier also criticized them for asking for money while opposing his plans to open up mines in the Northern Ontario Ring of Fire, and for fighting his government's Bill 5 that allows the government to sidestep development laws.
There's going to be a point that you can't just keep coming hat in hand all the time to the government. You got to be able to take care of yourselves. And I'm bending over backwards to make sure we take care of them. But it's a two-way street here.
Indigenous MPP Salma Makwa said the Premier's statements were deeply offensive and racist, and Ford's relationship with First Nations needs a reset.
It starts with an apology, that we can work together, but right now we're not working together.
The Chiefs of Ontario sent Ford a statement saying they don't go to the government hat in hand and do take care of themselves, but said their communities face systemic underfunding and institutionalized racism.
I speak from the heart, and sometimes my words don't come out properly, which I think you've all seen over a number of years.
After the meeting at Queen's Park, the Premier said again he's sorry.
I just want to say I sincerely apologize for my words, not only if it hurt all the chiefs in that room, but all First Nations.
There was a qualified acceptance from the chiefs who will take the apology back to their First Nations.
I can confirm that before the meeting started that the Premier has indeed and did indeed apologize to our First Nations rights holders sitting at that table today. We are looking at today as a new day going forward.
With the Premier saying it's time for the provincial government and First Nations to work together to develop the economy.
Nothing can move without consultation with the First Nations communities, because I want the First Nations communities to prosper.
So the Premier tried a number of times today to turn the conversation to the economic threat from U.S. President Donald Trump. But the First Nations leaders didn't seem to be going for that, focusing instead on their relationship with the Premier. And there's no indication today's meeting will have any effect on the Bill 5 that the chiefs oppose.